Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. How are you guys today?
I'm
Doing
great.
You're doing
How are you, gentlemen?
fantastic.
Doing good here.
All right.
All the kids are in bed by 8:30, so that's a win.
That's a record. I bet that almost never happens. Yeah. Okay, well, today we got a very interesting show, I hope, but it's kind of depressing. We'll start off with the sad news. Chuck Norris passed this week, which, end of an era.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought Trevor wanted to do some stuff on him, and so we kind of decided to go that direction for tonight. And so we'll talk about Chuck Norris tonight, and then we'll be doing our regular Bible reading. And then I will be reading some from Maggie Stone, the new book, which, hang on a minute, shameless plug. Temple of Maggie Stone, book's out. I'm poor. Buy it.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's about fake bodies waking up. It's great. So, we'll read chapter 1 of it. And then we'll end with Chad Ripperger's interview on Shawn Ryan. And we'll, because that people seem to like the previous one we did. So, I thought we would, well, he'd already teased that we were going to do another one anyway. So, I thought we would go ahead and be good to our word, and the fact that it seemed to do well last time, motivated me.
Been getting into some crazy stuff lately.
He has been, yeah. He's been getting pretty deep into the rabbit hole. So, anyway, so with that said, who wants to be the first to read tonight? Oh, wait, hang on.
I got you.
I committed a horrible sin last week. It was very awful. I read from the NIV. And I shouldn't have done that.
Oh,
I was
unacceptable.
I know. It's horrid. It's like, what's the matter with me? So we will not make that mistake again. All right. First one.
I got you, man.
You got me? All right. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Are we on 25?
Yep.
All right, Genesis 25. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and moving around a little bit, Ishbak, and Shua. And Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim.
Letshum, or Letushim. Letushim, yeah.
And Limum. And the sons of Midian,
Sorry, no, I'm just...
Ephah and Epher and Hanok and Abadiah and Eldad. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the country. Which is a noble thing, because like we talked about last week, he does not have to give his concubines anything. Or his concubines' children anything.
That's right. Yeah. We did talk about that last week. So a concubine is basically a wife that doesn't have any legal rights, so he didn't have to provide anything for the inheritance or anything like that. So
he's being a cool guy.
For the place and time. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Verse 7. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, and 160 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well.
Lahairoi. Yeah. Lahairoi. Yeah.
Now. These are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to the generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Abdeel, and Bibsam,
Yeah.
and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa. What'd you say?
Oh, not your dude 96 says, imagine at the end of one of these chapter-long genealogies, it just records, and then there was Doof. We don't like to talk about Doof. It's pretty funny.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So,
Who do you think recorded all the name stuff?
I've heard some interesting.
subscribe.
I've heard some interesting theories about it. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Titus Kennedy said something about Joseph's son making the Hebrew language, and then all this was compiled in Egypt. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's some there's some stuff I've heard mentioned, like similarities between the Proto-Hebrew and Egyptian hieroglyphs, which kind of imply the story actually goes that this actually slowly developed the Phoenician alphabet, which is where we get our alphabet.
Oh,
But it's been a long time since I've sort of read into that. But yeah, it seems like this was probably recorded during their time in Egypt. Joseph's son.
I always
Which
assumed it was
makes sense because
Moses.
it would have been in living memory,
yeah. Sorry,
or
Trevor.
a generation or two back.
Right. Sorry, Trevor. What were you gonna say?
I always just assumed it was Moses who kept track of it and wrote it all
Well,
down.
it hadn't been written down before because Moses was like 400 years later.
Yeah, I know. I figured he was the one that like tracked it all down and wrote it down for the Bible.
I have heard.
Well, he did write them, but I mean, it's generally understood that a lot of this was written down before him. He just kind of compiled it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And here I thought Greg was going to say it was all made up in the 70s by the CIA.
No, a lot of stuff was made up in the 70s by the CIA.
But not the Bible. So yeah.
Like
We keep
Terraria.
going. 15.
Yeah.
Hadar and Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and their castles. 12 princes according to their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, and 137 years, and he gave up the ghost and died, and he was gathered unto his people. What does that mean? He was gathered unto his people. Does that mean they all got to keep his bones?
No, they went to heaven. That's all what I've always taken it to mean. Greg,
Do
any
you
thoughts?
assume it means that?
I mean, that's sort of the general idea, yeah.
Yeah. Like you have went to be with his fathers, gathered unto his people. Like when,
All right.
that's usually a nomenclature that they use for death.
Like in, I'm just trying to visualize it. So you're talking about like in Mulan?
No,
No.
They be in
No.
heaven. So no, not in some shrine.
I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Can't always tell.
Okay.
Can always tell.
Where we at? 18.
Yeah.
And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, and thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, and the sister to Laban the Syrian.
Not
And Isaac entreated.
sorry,
Say
hang
again.
on. Not your dude 96 says it means that his people gathered together to bury him. So maybe it's not a heaven thing. So maybe it's like they all gathered together to, like, bury him, or like they all came together for the funeral. Let's see.
I assume there's like a specific meaning for that phrase.
Well,
in history.
I'm gonna Google it then, because I imagine Jeremiah is right.
Yeah,
So,
stop me whenever you find it.
yeah. Okay. So, all right. I'll do it on
And
Google
Isaac.
Chrome, and you keep going. How about that?
Oh, hang on.
Sorry, did I throw you off because I put the window up?
No, my mom's calling. Babe, can you call mom?
All right, hang on. While he's messing with that, I will Google this. So, what does gathered unto his people mean in Genesis?
All right. Sons of. Did you find it, buddy?
I'm the dubious source known as AI says refers to
good.
the death. I know it's like it's AI, but it refers to the death of a patriarch, indicating a return to ancestors. Symbolizes a reunion with deceased family members in the afterlife. Often used in
you were right.
well, if the computer is to be believed. So.
I mean,
enough.
the Hebrews did believe in an afterlife, so that kind of checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. That's what it's saying. I'm going to check Bible Hub because I don't.
I was just making sure they didn't like keep bones, you know, like George Bush has, or was it the Harvard College has the skull of what's his name, the Indian guy?
I don't know.
They kept the
Oh my
skull of somebody?
Yeah.
Who did they?
What's his name? It's in like Family Guy and stuff. Like it's a classic conspiracy theory.
I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I don't know.
Not Tonto. Is it Tonto?
Tonto is from the Lone Ranger.
No, it's not Tonto. This was a real guy.
Squanto?
I don't know, man. Forgot. I don't think it's Squanto. I forgot his name.
All
though.
right.
Maybe I'll think of it later. Anyways, we'll keep going. Where are we at?
Okay. Just to confirm, Bible Hub is saying the same thing as AI.
Okay.
It says here the distinction between gathered and buried. In many of these passages, buried is listed separately or described as a subsequent event, which supports the understanding that being gathered to his people goes beyond the interment of the body. For instance, Jacob's burial is superficially mentioned as performed by a son, yet his gathering occurs right at his final breath. Genesis 49:33. This distinction suggests a belief that individuals enter a new plane of existence with their forefathers even before any formal burial ritual. Okay, so that's
Makes
what
sense.
it says. All right.
Cool.
Jeremiah says, the Old Testament faithful, with the exception of those who were bodily assumed into the divine council, didn't go to heaven per se. They remained in Abraham's bosom, Sheol, until Christ's victory. Right. So I've heard that basically there was like Abraham's bosom was kind of like
it's separate than heaven, but
yeah. So like the
Yeah.
afterlife. Okay. And then Sevens Pattern 77 says hello. It's good to see ya. Thank
What's
you
up?
for joining us.
Hello.
All right.
All right. I'm going to keep going. I'm on 21, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
No. My bad. Start with 19.
I think I already did that, but it's all right.
Yeah.
And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, and the Syrian of Padanaram, and the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that his brother came out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew.
And Esau was a cunning hunter.
Yeah. Hang on, I got a thought. So like,
Yep.
it says the older will serve the younger. So, Isaac served Esau. Is that correct?
No, Jacob. Esau served Jacob.
Or sorry, Jacob. Jacob.
Yeah.
Esau served Jacob.
Yeah. Because Jacob was younger, Esau was older.
Okay. Yeah, I just had it backwards, my bad.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on that?
Oh, mine was a dud.
Yours was a dud? Pretty straightforward. I always felt a little bad for Esau myself.
I kind of do too.
But,
What do you feel bad for?
oh, I don't know. I feel like...
He kind of gets the short end of the stick there, doesn't he?
Hmm?
Kind of gets the short end of the stick.
It's hard to say. Greg, what do you think?
It's kind of explained late. It's kind of explained later in the narrative. Esau trades his birthright away, and Jacob takes it. Jacob doesn't exactly come out, sparkling clean. He's kind of a sneaky dude, but Esau's never really shown in a positive light per se.
Yeah.
Well, let me... Sorry, Trevor, go on.
So it's kind of like foreshadowing almost.
Well, it's a prophecy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, how much was God... I think, personally, God was basically saying what was going to happen, but he wasn't, like, forcing anything to happen. But some people would use this as, like, a justification for, like, the idea that God kind of directs us and we don't really have any free will. So, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean that is my opinion, that we don't have free will.
Really?
It goes into the Calvinist thing where it's the idea is, Esau's destined, the Jacob who I loved and Esau who I hated, and Calvinists take that as proof that we don't have free will, which I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't really know that Calvinism is exactly this is the right time or place to debate Calvinism.
Yeah.
Right.
I've read the first little bit of the Institutes. I'm not a fan. But anyway. Anyway, excuse me. No, I think we got free will. Sevens Pattern 77 says thanks. And then Beans to Calix says, is it that time of the week already? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And he's got the smiley face with sunglasses. So there you go. All right. We were just arguing about whether or not we have any autonomy or if it's all futile. But anyway, so Cody, if you want to go on. Oh, hang on here. Before we do, Not Your Dude 96 says, Jacob still honored his brother later in life by prostrating before him, which was interesting. Both were given a kingdom of a kind.
Yeah, but Jacob prostrated himself because he thought Esau was going to kill him, and then Esau actually turned out to not to honor him back.
Isn't that interesting? Because it's like he starts out going, I'm going to kill this dude, and then he changes his mind. So I wonder what happened. It turns out Esau ends up being a pretty good guy by the end of it.
At the end.
Yeah, by the end, yeah. So, and Jacob gets as good as he got, thanks to Laban. Like, he got messed around a little bit too.
That's true.
So, if you're wanting, if you're wanting biblical proof of karma, or you reap what you sow. The whole thing between Jacob and Laban is pretty interesting. So,
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's cool. Can we keep going?
yeah. Well, before you do, Beans to Calix says 100%, and then Not Your Dude 96 says it was a display of humility that disarmed Esau. That's the point. Well, there you
Usually
go.
works.
There you go. I think that's a good point, for sure. All right, Cody, you're welcome. Move on. We were on 27, I believe. Phrase a cunning hunter.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain, boring man that couldn't change a car tire, dwelling in tents. And it doesn't say that part about the car. I made that up.
I kind of figured.
And Isaac and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. And Jacob sawed pottage.
So I think he was making soup or making some kind of meal.
Pottage is sort of like an old term for basically oatmeal, just sort of boiled grain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
What is sod?
I don't know. In the King James version, I don't know. I'm assuming it's make or something like that. We can go to Strong's or whatever.
You're cool. You're cool. Okay.
Bottom line
it's
is
just a weird. I've never said that before. You know.
yeah. So
that's the thing about the old King James. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's like, what?
Okay, so and Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I'm faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. So he changed his name?
yeah, because this is a very poor choice. I'm assuming that's why they did it.
Like a girl?
Yeah, he's about to give up his whole birthright. That's where the story's going.
He's like, oh, I'm so hungry.
Yeah, sod means the act of cooking or boiling.
There you go. So he was boiling. Thank you, Trevor.
Okay. Nice.
And then
I thought it meant grass.
Trevor, can you
So
look up what Edom means in that same context?
Edom?
Edom.
E-D-O-M.
That is correct.
D-O-M.
Yeah. I'm assuming it
Jacob.
means something like he was being melodramatic and was selling something he shouldn't have sold.
Jacob said, "Sell me this day thy birthright." That's the first thing you jump to. Like, you want some food? Well, sell me your birthright. What a not brotherly thing to do.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Jacob was a snake.
Edom, derived from Esau, is a significant biblical entity representing a nation descended from Esau, Jacob's twin brother, and is often associated with conflict with Israel.
Oh, the nation Edom. That's what they're talking about.
Okay. There you go.
So Esau's descendants became Edom. Okay.
It means red, which is linked to Esau's reddish appearance at birth.
Well, there you go.
And the red stew for which he sold his birthright. So
There's a bunch of symbolism in this, but I can't see it.
So it represents the reddish appearance at birth and the red stew for which he sold his birthright.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Not Your Dude 96 says, you're forgetting Esau's Western-obsessed brother, Yeehaw!
Yeah.
How could we forget him?
Some bitter teenager died from a horrible dad joke tonight. So
Yeah, no doubt. And Esau said, "Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me?" So was he being dramatic or was he about to die?
I think he was being dramatic.
Yeah, God provides all things, right?
You don't sell
He
your
was being
birthright
dramatic.
because you're being dramatic. Huh?
Yeah. He was enraptured by fear.
I always felt like the implication was he never took it real seriously. You know what I mean? Like he never...
Yeah, maybe.
that's kind
And
of
you kind of see that with like flow state alphas. Like think about like that movie we were talking about earlier with the cops, the other guys, and they're just like there's nobody there to regulate them, and they're just on top of the building, and they're like, you know what? Aim for the bushes, bro. Like they're just sending it full send. Like, and so Esau is kind of like that same thing. He's just like, I don't give a crap about my birthright. Like, let's go. Like, I'm hungry.
just doesn't think it through. Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, that's kind of the way I've always understood it. Was he was just flippant, and that was kind of like Jacob was a crook and a villain, but he wanted it. You know what I mean? Like he took God's promise seriously. So even though he was a villain, he was still like believing that this birthright was a real legitimate thing, whereas Esau was just kind of like, whatever, it'll all work out, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's the way I understand it. So, all right.
Verse 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
So yeah, that's kind of the moral of the story there. It's kind of like encapsulating it. It's like he hated his birthright. He had it in contempt. That's the point of the story.
I don't like Jacob at all.
I don't think you're supposed to. I think he's a bad man. So at this point in the story, yeah. His children were worse, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Genesis 26. We got about 6 minutes to go, I think, before we're done. So,
is there any more of this? Is that all of it?
Of 25, yeah, that was all of 25. So we're moving on to 26.
Oh, okay, sweet.
So, who wants to take this chapter? I mean, I can if nobody else wants to.
I didn't exactly come prepared, so I don't have it.
That's all right. Trevor, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
You want me to read it?
It don't matter to me. I can read it.
I can keep going.
Or Cody can keep going. Whatever you want to
All
do.
right, 26.
All right.
And there was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. Sorry, it was in that. Spring is in the air. I lost my place. Stars
and
and seed unto these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. For he feared to say, She is my wife. Lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon.
Like father, like son, eh?
Like father, like son.
Dude, these guys suck.
Yeah. You know, it's like, it didn't work the first two times Abraham tried it. I don't know why Isaac
they're
just...
They're like beta males, dude. Like, why did these guys get the role in this story? Like,
Beta.
Because the point is, God can love anybody. That's the whole thing. Like...
but like... I don't know, dude.
The point is, you're Abraham. You're a degenerate. We're all degenerates. We all suck. That's kind of the idea.
Abraham had many sons, and many sons had father.
At least we got Jesus to look up to.
Right?
Amen.
Right.
And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She's my sister. for he feared to say, She's my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is thy wife. And how saidst thou, She is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, Lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. You almost tricked us, bro, is what he said.
Didn't he? Isn't he the same guy Abraham did that to? Like, isn't this the exact same
No.
guy? Or is it a different
This is
dude?
like-
Abraham did it to Pharaoh.
Abraham
Yeah.
did it to Pharaoh. Yeah, I knew he did it to Pharaoh, but Abraham does it twice, didn't he?
I don't recall.
Well, that's
I
embarrassing.
only remember the one.
We just read the book and we don't recall. Wow. Oh, well. What are you going to
I
do?
only remember one.
Okay, well, anyway.
I thought this was Abraham.
No, this is
No, this is
Isaac.
Isaac. Doing the same thing, Abraham.
Doing the exact same thing Abraham did.
Oh, and then Jacob is this guy's son?
Yeah.
Golly, they all suck. They're all terrible.
Yes. Yes, that's the moral of the
Let's
story.
just wrap up this book. I'm gonna convert to Islam.
What? Oh, my gosh. That's
Oh,
right. You can have a harem instead of sisters. There you go.
You got to marry a cousin
And a goat.
and a goat.
All right, we're behind on comments. Let me
All
let
right.
me
Yeah,
read the
comments
comments here. All right, okay. Jacob still honored his brother-in-law. Okay, so we've brother-in-law later in life by prostrating him before him, which was interesting. We read that one. Okay, here we go. You're forgetting Esau's Western-obsessed brother, Yeehaw. I'm completely lost. Sell me this day thy birthright. While it seems like a human transaction, it is the order of election. The light of the covenant is being passed to the one who values it. Right. Like, so Jacob wasn't taking the birthright seriously, or Esau wasn't taking it seriously. So it's being passed to the brother who will take it seriously. And then setting the stage for the 12 tribes. Right. And then Not Your Dude, that was Seven's pattern 7-7. Then Not Your Dude 96 says, God uses the weak to shame the strong. That could be a physical weakness, but also a weakness of moral constitution. Cody is right about Jesus as the example. And then Not Your Dude 96 also says, as man, he is perfect, and he only pulls it off because he is also God. That is very true. That is correct. So see, Cody, you don't have to marry a goat. It's okay.
I know I don't have to marry a goat. I was being facetious.
Facetious? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Verse 11. You want to scroll up a little
Yeah.
bit? Go ahead.
Yeah. There you go. You're right there.
And Abimelech charged all of his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great and went forward, and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants. And the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. And Isaac departed thence, and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and called their names after the names by which his father had called them. I mean, there's one good thing about these dudes, they can really dig holes. I mean, they are some hole digging fools.
Got to get that water somehow.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost like they like digging tunnels. Sorry.
Hey,
I wonder how long it took him.
hey. See what you did there? All right.
Trevor, what'd you say?
I wonder how long it took him to dig a well.
I don't know. It's a good question. I would assume a long time, but I don't know.
Well, they had stores of servants, so.
Schools and schools.
That's
of
true.
servants.
All right.
Man, it kind of sounds like a movie that we know with those Shia LaBeouf.
With Shia LaBeouf, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
they've got a whole
Holes.
bunch of servant kids, and they just make them all dig holes everywhere.
There you go.
This is weird. This is a weird chapter, Gary.
Going down the rabbit hole. Got to do some
I'm
introspection.
excited to make our way to the gospel because this is some weird stuff.
Well, keep going. Stay at it. You're doing great. You're doing wonderful.
All right, we're getting there. And Isaac's servant digged in the valley and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, "The water is ours." And he called the name of the well Esek. I just zoomed out, my bad.
Because they strove with him.
What verse?
Okay, so the end of that verse 20 was because they strove with him. 21. And they did. You want me to start?
And they digged another
you go.
well and strove for that also, and he called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence and digged another well. And for that they strove not, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, "For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." And he went up there from thence to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared unto him the same night and said, "I am the God of Abraham thy father. Fear not, for I am with thee, and will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake." And he builded an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzeth, I can't say it.
Oh, you did good. Ahuzeth. You're right.
One of his friends, and Pichol, the chief captain of the army. And Isaac said unto them,
Wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? 28. And they
said, "We saw
Sorry, go
certainly
on.
that the Lord was with thee, and we said, Let there be now an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee. And thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, and we have done nothing unto thee but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now blessed of the Lord." And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. And they rose up betimes. I've never seen that word. Betimes in the morning, and swear one to another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged, and said unto him, "We have found water." And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took his wife Judith to the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bashemath the daughter of Elon the Musk Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah.
And that's 26.
I have one question.
Yes.
Is Beersheba still called Beersheba to this day?
I don't know. It's a good question. Greg, do you know?
I don't know, actually.
That's a good question, Cody. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google it.
All right.
To the AI.
What's it called?
Beersheba.
Beersheba.
Yeah. All right.
I had a dog named Sheba.
I know. I remember her.
Yeah, it was a good dog.
Wasn't she like a Newfoundland?
Is Beersheba still in existence? That'll work.
Well of the oath.
Okay, there's a city called Beersheba in southern Israel. It serves as the capital of the Negev desert region. The city has a rich historical and cultural significance.
I mean, I'm just saying, if
yes.
Beersheba was not called Beersheba, somebody would have had to like directly disobey what the Bible said. That would be kind of crazy.
Say that again. I think that went over my head, sir.
like if somebody was in charge of naming a city, and it's like, oh, this place used to be called Beersheba. I'm going to change the name, knowing that the Bible says it's still called Beersheba to this day. That'd be pretty crazy to do.
Well, I mean, I would read that as Moses writing this down, saying it's still called Beersheba to this day.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily saying it's.
But wouldn't it be funny if someone tried to change the name and then got struck by lightning? I think is what he's getting at. It's like, it's like, I'm going to change the name. Then a crater just swallows him whole. And then the next guy's like, it's Beersheba. Beersheba it is. I'm very excited to call this town Beersheba. So
have to make me a sign and put it in front of it.
So, okay. Not Your Dude 96 says the first well diggers. Hey, homie, want to dig a hole until something happens? Water springs up. Yo. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, they all knew that water came from the ground. I mean, because in Genesis, like before the flood, it was just like it just came up through the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would assume the further back in time, like used to in America, we had oil wells everywhere, and it was just like coming out of the ground because it was just full. The ground was full.
Yeah.
And so I would assume that back in the day, I mean, wells, like water wells, were kind of like that too. I mean, we've talked about how source water and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume it's just kind of gotten tapped out, and it's probably a lot different than it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably used to be able to dig a 6-foot well.
That's true. Well, boys, it's end of part 1. We're past 30 minutes. Ready to move on to part 2? Or actually, any final thoughts from anybody?
Nope. I think I'm going to bounce out after this one.
You're going to bounce out?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you coming on here. I guess we will see you next time. Adios, amigos.
I'm going to get some shut-eye.
Get some shut-eye.
Have a good night.
All right. Peace. Let's see how long it takes for this window to screw up. There we go. Hang on. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at switching these windows over. Goodness gracious. All right, well, do either one of you...
Master switcher.
I'm the master switcher, the producer extraordinaire. I don't know what I'm doing. What do you guys think? Any thoughts?
It is well with my soul.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's straightforward narrative. I always enjoy anytime the Hittites get mentioned because, for hundreds and hundreds of years, historians were like, there were no such thing as Hittites. And then, 150 years ago, somebody dug up the capital city and they're like, no, there was absolutely a giant civilization called the Hittites.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. All right.
The Nephilim.
Well, boys, we're going to end part 1 here. So, if you are on the live stream, stay with us. We have got 3 more segments left. If you are watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. On to part 2.
Part 2.
I don't remember what part 2 is, but before we get to it, we are at 199 subscribers. We need one
Almost
subscriber. Can we get to 200 tonight? That would be great.
We're just until we get there.
We're just gonna sit here. Nothing happens
That's how people do.
until we get to 200.
Live. They will literally sit there and just BS until they get to like so many people.
Just wait people out, huh?
Just liking their video.
It seems like quite the gamble, but you never know.
Yeah.
7
Bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah. Let's see if it pays off. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see if we can get to 150 likes before we move on. Start talking about the subject.
Sweet.
An hour later, they'll finally start talking about the subject.
Sweet. All right, let me read some comments here. Genesis 26, 29 through 31. Abimelech comes to Isaac to make a covenant. In verse 29, they ask for peace because Isaac is the blessed of the Lord. Seven's pattern 777 also then says they swear an oath in verse 31. It is a veil of protection between two peoples. Then Beans to Calyx says, I'll see. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, all right. Okay, I can't remember. Was I going to read the chapter first, or were we going to do the Chuck Norris thing first? What did we decide? You got it, 200. Thank you, Seven's Pattern 77. Appreciate it. You got it, 200.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
Well, we do have the Chuck Norris up on the live, so
okay.
maybe
We'll start with Chuck Norris. Okay, so Trevor, you had a AI video that you wanted to watch. Chuck Norris is like a child. If I knock my headphones off.
Do you want to do an intro first?
Oh yes, that's right. I need to do that. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, as we like to call it, the Tri-F podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And today, Beans to Calyx says 200 sub special. Yay! That's right. Yay. 200. Awesome. Cool beans. We're getting there. It's great. All right. So for part 2 of this episode, we are going to talk about Chuck Norris, who is a childhood hero of ours. I remember Walker very well. I have fond memories of that solo song and the eyes of the Ranger and all of that. You imagine Chuck Norris just behind you all the time.
All the time. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace, yeah. All right, so we've got this, if I can get the window right, because I'm a professional.
Yeah, I found this guy. He did an AI video. I thought it was pretty good.
All right, so we're gonna watch this AI video of Chuck Norris versus the Grim Reaper or something. So,
wait.
What?
Is that the right one? Yes.
That's the right one. Okay. All right, here we go.
There are men who are remembered. There are men who are mourned. And then there is one man who death had to ask politely, and still had to wait. He was born in Ryan, Oklahoma. Population 800.
You know, the only thing that would make that graphic more awesome is if it was Norm McDowell, or Norm McDonald. Yeah, Norm McDonald is the voice of death. You know, as Chuck Norris roundhouse kicks him. That would be great. That would make me smile. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
By the time he left, the town had already peaked. The Air Force stationed him in South Korea. He arrived as an airman named Carlos. He left as a weapon named Chuck. He lost his first 2 tournaments. Then he won 183 fights. Nobody talks about the 2. He once fought a man inside the Roman Colosseum. That man was Bruce Lee. It is the only fight in recorded history where the building was the 3rd toughest thing in the room. Steve McQueen, the coolest man in Hollywood, studied karate under him. Then told him to try.
Yeah, Beans to Calyx asks, is this AI? Yes, indeed. Yes it is.
AI.
Very much AI.
I didn't want to guess hit with one of those bad things.
Oh, yeah.
Acting.
Copyright strike? Are you talking about a copyright strike?
Yeah, copyright.
And he says, LOL, yeah, pretty much. It's
Even the king of cool knew when he was standing in someone else's shadow. In the 1980s, Hollywood made action movies.
Well, that don't even make any sense. Okay, let's just, speaking of AI, look at that. Why is there only the cufflink of the shirt? And look, the collar. Well, that just don't make any sense.
I think whoever did that was trying to do like a Rambo type deal.
Well, they failed. So, how about that? All right, here we go.
Used stunt doubles. Stunt doubles used him as a reference photo. He played a Texas Ranger on television for 8 years. Then Texas made him an honorary Ranger for real. The badge was a formality. The state had been his since the pilot episode. He was once bitten by a king cobra. After 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died. His roundhouse kick has been registered as a natural disaster in 14 countries. The other countries are still filling out the paperwork. The internet tried to turn him into a joke. His favorite? They wanted to put Chuck Norris on Mount Rushmore, but the granite wasn't tough enough for his beard. He didn't laugh because it was funny. He laughed because it was close. There is no chin behind his beard. There is only another fist. On March 10th, 2026, his 86th birthday, he posted a video of himself sparring in Hawaii. The caption read, "I don't age, I level up." He wasn't joking. He never was. Some men leave behind a legacy. He left behind a list of things that are still afraid of him. He was the most badass man in history, and he didn't need anyone to tell him that. But we're telling you anyway. Stay tough, my friends.
End of an era, man. End of an era. Goodness.
I thought that was pretty good. So
Very few people actually.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
it auto-played the next.
We're gonna move on for a minute. All right, yeah, that's pretty neat, guys. I really like that. So, yeah, I only knew Chuck Norris from basically Walker, Texas Ranger. I don't know what you guys' earliest memories of him were.
I liked him on. Dang it! What was the one you did with Bruce Lee? What was that one called?
Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. That fight scene.
Where Bruce Lee like rips out his chest hair.
Yeah.
It was did at the Coliseum.
Like that is not kind. That is just not kind. One of the silliest things I ever saw in a movie of his, though, because it was at Bilford's, and it was only for like a second, and I don't even know what movie it was from, but somebody had...
Know what you're talking about.
Yeah, somebody had buried his truck. It was like some kind of Ford, and like to get out of the jam, he like just douses himself in beer, and then just drives the truck out of the pit. And I don't remember who saw that with me, but we started calling it the beer baptism, like it was his special power, you know? So...
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I was like, I don't even know what that's from, but that was crazy. And then there was the famous Enter the Dragon fight, obviously. Bruce Lee and...
I sent you that in case we wanted to
You did.
watch that. As
I don't know if we're going to get copyrighted or not, but we're gonna see...
We might get copyrighted.
There's a very good chance of it, but we're going to try. Remember, transformative. We got to interrupt it like every 10 seconds to keep this going.
Just the music part.
Just the music.
Because there's like no talking. It's all fight. Lee
We're all stretching.
actually bribed the Coliseum guards to get the camera crew in there to do this. Because that's actually illegal to record at the Coliseum.
Really?
Well,
Like inside of it.
I'm sure the cops saw Chuck Norris and were like, yeah, don't worry about it. So...
Well, we're not going to do it now.
They'll figure
But you're good.
They'll figure
Go
it
ahead.
out, yeah. Going off and couldn't. I don't know what's worse. Getting the chest hair ripped off or not letting it leave your fingers. That is some sweaty chest hair. Anyway. Okay, well, we're good so far.
As long as we keep interrupting, we should be all right.
Oh, yeah, I intend to keep interrupting. Watch the rest of that. I am not going to risk a copyright strike any longer. We're playing Russian roulette with that. So, okay, so we're going to move on to the next clip. That's the wrong one. Okay. So this is a Joe Rogan one?
No. The Joe Rogan part is clickbait. It's literally just Joe Rogan's picture.
Well, why would they put that? Someone should be sued. Tinseltown Legends of Beloved Old America. You ought to be ashamed of yourself using Joe Rogan as clickbait.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they got you.
Guys, I didn't realize my phone is about to die.
Our stream
I'm
got
gonna...
suspended.
What? Has it...
Policy violations.
Are you serious?
Oh, no.
What? It says we're still playing.
Oh.
You're gonna...
Hold on. Refresh the stream.
Greg, are you still there?
Yeah, my battery's about to die, though. I'm going to have to get cut out.
Okay, man. All right. Well, it was good talking to you. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, see you later.
All right, we'll see you. Bye.
Yeah, on my end, it says stream unavailable through my... Like, I'm looking at it from my channel.
Really?
So our chat can't see us. They're seeing stream unavailable, stream suspended for policy issues.
Seriously?
Policy violations.
It says we're still playing on my end.
Yeah. I even refreshed it.
Okay.
It's still not going.
Beans to Calix says we're still not seeing. Did we really get shut down? Hang on a minute.
You might have to shut it off and restart.
Hold on. It still says we're live on here. Okay. You got him? All right. All right, let's see. If it's a problem, we're gonna just redirect everybody to Rumble.
Wait.
What?
Let me tell them to refresh.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's saying everything's fine on my end. Yeah, it's saying everything's fine.
Okay, there we go. If you're still with us, hit refresh.
Hello! Beans to Calix, are you good? Can you see us now?
Yeah, I can see us.
You can see us, so we're good now?
Yeah, let me see if I can hear us.
Dude, you scared me half to death. I was like, I'm not seeing that on our end at all. Like, I'm refreshing, and our end says it's fine.
Yeah, okay. We're up and running.
We're up and running. Okay. Hello. Thanks, Beans to Calix. And we see you too. Okay, so we're all good. That was a close call, apparently. So, there's that.
They did not like us playing that.
Yeah!
Apparently.
Yeah, they did not, apparently. So, yeah, that's crazy. Like, we muted it and we did all sorts of stuff. They still almost nailed us. That's crazy.
Wow. That's what happened to me that one time with, when I did, something on, what's his name? Dang it.
I don't recall.
I started it with, crap. I don't remember his name, but it was like 5 minutes into the stream. They cut me off because I guess they didn't want me talking about him.
Well, you gotta do like the properly transformative stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says we're good here, man. It says we're good. So, all right, I'm gonna keep an eye on the analytics because unless did I just shut off the chat? Please don't tell me I just shut off the chat.
Chat's still up.
Okay,
Like.
we're good. All right, great. Yeah, it says we're fine. I'm gonna keep checking on the analytics though to make sure that we're not like, what's the word? Like we don't have like a hard strike or something on our back matter. So that'll take me like 30 seconds here. But
Okay.
Entertain the public, Mr. Trevor, while I fix all this or check everything.
Well, may Chuck Norris rest in peace, and I guess we'll. How much time have we got on it? Is there enough time, or do we need to?
We probably need to give another couple minutes for we're good with Buzzsprouts.
Oh right, okay. So,
Beans to Calix says, I'm chilling.
just chilling.
Yeah. Us too. Okay. I think we're good. I think we just about got a hard strike, but I think we're all right. Dad, blame it. What a bunch of commies. Good night. Oh well.
Yeah, the whole
Crisis
Chuck Norris
averted.
thing, the whole Chuck Norris thing was just all over the news and everything. So I thought maybe we would
Well, it's like the end of an era.
try and
You know,
try and do something. Yeah.
like that was
We all have.
we
our
grew
Chuck
up with
Norris
we grew up on Chuck Norris. You know what I mean?
stories and
That hokey music, that Texas Ranger stuff, Expendables 2. Man, it's just what a time. The 90s were a time. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Chuck Norris. Amazing actor. Great stuff. I guess we're ready to move on. Are you ready, good sir?
No, I guess so.
All right. Well, guys, if you're on the live stream, stay with us. We have got 2 more segments left. If you are watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right. I'm thinking about changing plans here a little bit.
You want to do your reading?
Nah, I don't think people need to listen to the whole chapter. I might plug it like as a separate video or something. I've also thought about putting like that chapter, the audiobook version, because there's an audiobook version on it. So, yeah, that's... oh my gosh, I'm on the wrong window. Oh no, hang on, here we go.
What window are you on?
Oh, I'm just getting turned around to all my screens. So, okay, let me just do a quick plug for the book, and then we'll move on to the last segment of the night. I think that's probably good. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. Okay, so yes, we're going to do a shameless plug really quick. My book, I'm Poor. Buy my book, Temple of Maggie Stone. It's on Amazon. If I can get the whole thing in the shot. All righty. So yes, go to GaryPaulVarner.com. Go up to the toolbar thing. There's the books. I'm poor. Please buy my stuff. There you go. I'm just going to keep using that line because...
Please buy stuff.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's that. All right, now on to the last segment of the night. So our previous video... Actually, I should probably just lead us in. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Triad Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And for our final segment tonight, we thought we would do what we said we were going to do and look at the Chad Ripperger video one more time. And this time we were going to look at generational curses and rituals and exorcisms specifically. And then you and I were going to go back and forth on that. And, yeah, and then we would wrap up. That would be all we'd cover with that particular video from Shawn Ryan. So, all right. So, let's see. Beans to Calyx says, they got you. Oh, wait, no, that's... I apologize, Beans to Calyx. I don't know why my chat's being all weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, Trevor, do you have any thoughts on this Chad Ripperger guy? He's an exorcist. We've done one video on him. Apparently, it's like the most popular video we've done, and I know nothing about the guy. So, who is he?
Well, he's basically the leading exorcist in the country as far as the Catholics go. So, if you need an exorcist, you would basically hardly ever get this guy to like show up. He would call your local area if you were to get a hold of him. So
where's he out of?
Oh, I don't recall. Shawn Ryan talks about it at the very beginning of the video. He tells where he's from.
Well, he's apparently very well known. Well known. So
he did a lot of his training in Romania, which I believe most of the exorcists do their training
out of
in
Rome.
Romania.
I think it's Rome. I don't think it's Romania. I think it's Rome. Might be wrong about it's Rome. Okay.
One of the two.
We want to Google it again?
Rome or Romania.
Let me Google it really quick. Hang on. Where do exorcists train? AI is loading. Oh, I want the town, guys. Don't be obnoxious. All right. Let's try rewording that. Do exorcists train in Rome? Loading, loading, loading. It's not going to tell me. All right. Doesn't matter. Are you ready to react to this guy? Do you have any thoughts on...
I was trying to load a biography, but my internet's being weird. Come on.
Well, my goodness, Trevor. We're just having all kinds of problems tonight, ain't we?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, let's just go ahead and start playing this, and hopefully it'll start working. And we'll react, because I know you have some thoughts on generational curses and rituals and pacts, and that's something you're kind of opinionated on. So we'll play this until we get to that point, and then we'll kind of hear what you have to say.
He's the archdiocese. He's in the archdiocese from Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Well, let's see what he has to say here.
When we're talking about the occult and satanic rituals and worshiping, and are these people, are they possessed? Are they hoping to be possessed? They want to be possessed? Are they inviting demons into their soul, into their mind, into their body?
Yeah. Okay. So there's varying degrees. Some of them are not actually. They're actually not possessed. They're just involved in it because the demons do reward them, like by obsession or by giving them pleasure in doing sadistic things, and so they're not necessarily possessed. Some of them are possessed, and that's why they're actually involved in it, and they know they're possessed. Some of them, as I mentioned too, there's like the family histories where it's in the family line. So the possession, actually, the father will actually have children and then do a ritual to get the demon that's possessing him into the child, so that it passes from generation to generation. So they'll have generational possession that's been going on for literally hundreds of years in some cases. And so those people, they know they're possessed, and they like
what?
I found out recently when he's talking about the rituals there. It could be anything.
What do you mean?
Ritual, like a sexual ritual is the usual one. Like if a father or grandfather or even moms, they can sexualize their kids, like do stuff with them.
Right.
And that's considered an invitation by the demonic realm. And that can cause generational curses to start.
All right, well, define what a generational curse is. Like, what do you consider a generational curse? Like, what is that?
So, my understanding of a generational curse is, let's say you have a family. But go back as far as you want to. They, so let's just say they're poor. And they want to make some money. And so they make an agreement with some sort of demon or evil spirit, if you will, to make riches. So the spirit or demon will tell them, okay, well, you have to do this. Like, a blood sacrifice, or sexualize your kid, or some sort of do something for the demon. And usually they'll get drunk or something, or super high, and then they'll do the deed, and that will cause the demon, okay, you did that for me. Here's your reward. But you also have to take on this curse. And that curse will follow your family for generations until I get what's promised to me. And so that person will come into agreement and have those riches or whatever they asked for, not knowing that they can actually sign that agreement or come into that agreement, and if they don't cut it off, that agreement will last until somebody in the line breaks it.
So even if
by Jesus' blood, the blood of Jesus is really the only thing that, from my understanding,
so
is the only thing that'll cancel it out.
now the way I've heard about this generational curse stuff is, from what I understand, they even if somebody doesn't like know about it or wasn't involved in the occult or whatever, it can affect them. Is that true? Is that what you've heard?
That's some witches can send you a generational curse, and that's like an unknown one.
Well, how would
that
they?
You don't know about.
How would they get away with that? Like, how would they have the authority to just chuck a curse at somebody?
You know how we pray to God?
Yeah.
They do, like witches and stuff will pray to whatever deity they're following.
Well, sure.
It's kind of,
Sure, but how do they get access to the home? Like, how do they get a link with that person or whatever? How do they get the authority to do that?
well, if you're not covered by the blood of Christ, it's really easy for them to do that. Say they bring somehow you get a cursed doll,
Okay.
which is really common.
So they'll try to bring like a cursed object into the home.
They'll give your kids a birthday present.
Okay. Okay.
It's like a doll.
All right.
It's really popular with little boo-boo dolls right now, actually.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
And then, or like say a picture of a family member. They'll curse that picture, and they can actually write on the back of the picture and put it in a picture frame, and you'll never know if you don't pull it out of that frame. It's cursed.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
generational. Yeah, there's so many different ways that we don't know about. Like Jesus said it, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. They just simply don't know.
So they use basically cursed objects to gain access into the house, and
And then
so I'm
they can
assuming that there has to be some kind of link to the group or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, even you got to be careful with it, because a lot of Christians in the Western world don't believe that, if you just use, in Jesus' name, get out, which doesn't actually always work, because
Well, it's always worked for me. I've never had I've never had anything like.
me. But that's the thing.
Have you tried to do it multiple times?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, I always say in Jesus' name, get out, and
get
then
out.
whenever there's an issue, they don't always go away on the first time, but you keep at it, they eventually leave.
Yeah, and then later they'll come back.
Yeah, and then you do it again, and eventually
Then you
it's
do it
done.
again, and then they come back, and then they do it again, and they come back. And some people, they do it once, and it's done. They cut it off, and it's done.
Uh-huh. Well,
And that's why I believe we have a generational curse, is because we just have to keep doing it over and over and over again.
okay, well, I mean, that's possible. How do you know they're the same demon? How do you know they're not like different things or whatever?
It could be different ones every time.
I mean, it's possible.
I-
I mean, I don't know.
I don't actually know. This is just from my own understanding of it. So
Well, I mean, in my experience with this stuff, like, Christ's name has always been sufficient. I've never, had to, like... I would. Well, I
spiritual
wouldn't.
warfare?
I wouldn't. Well, it's not. It's well, technically the whole thing's spiritual warfare. But I've never had to like appeal to another source of authority or something like that. Christ's name has always been enough because it's Him doing the work. Like I don't really do anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like why would I need somebody else or whatever? Because that would, to me, that would make it seem like it's them doing the work and not Christ. I don't feel like that's right. And so, like this is kind of one of my, I don't know what the word is. Like I don't necessarily have a problem with there being exorcists or, that function existing. But I've always kind of felt like you don't need the authority of the church. Like I admire the Catholics because they at least acknowledge that demons are real and it's a thing that people have to deal with. And a lot of Protestant denominations don't even go that far. And so I've always kind of had like respect for them for that. But I've never, like I've always kind of had just like a little bit of irritation because it's like, well, it's Christ doing it. Like we don't do anything. You know what I mean? It's not, there's not some sort of hidden power in the crucifix. There's not some sort of hidden power in the holy water. Like it's faith in Christ. And Christ, when you ask Him for help, honors that. Yeah, because He doesn't want you tormented by demons. So I mean, I've never had like to go any further. I mean, I've had to like read Psalms in houses before, and do like a blessing type of thing while reading the Psalms. But I mean, Christ's name has always been enough. It's never been, because I'm not doing anything at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be you. Like, you could have someone else, like a guest in your home, and they are not covered. And sometimes that's all it takes. And then you have to, in Jesus' name, cast out whatever they brought in. And, but no, in other cultures, like in Africa and stuff, all this demonic generational curses and stuff is like they're always having to deal with it all the time.
Well, how do they know if they have a generational curse? Like, are they seeing like supernatural, whatever,
supernatural
like
stuff happens?
Shadow people walking around? Or is it just people getting sick? Because I'm trying to get a kind of get a headwind here, because obviously people are going to be like, well, people are just calling a sickness or a generic misfortune a generational curse when they don't really know. I mean, that's obviously what the secular person is going to say. So, like, how do they know it's a generational curse or it's a demon bugging them as opposed to just like a regular illness?
Yeah, that's their thing though, is they don't have our modern medicine that we have in other countries. So it's common for them to, like, Jesus is all they have. That's it. So if they get super sick, let's say cancer, for instance, they don't have access to the health benefits that we do. So all they have is spiritual warfare to deal with that. And so it's crazy.
Yeah, well, let's see what Mr. Chad has to say here.
So is that like generational trauma?
Well, it's distinct from generational trauma in the sense that generational trauma is something that gets passed from generation to generation, but it's more of a psychological thing, even though demons can be involved in it. But you can have generational trauma without it being possession. But the possession can be the result of the trauma.
So when you're saying a father does a ritual on his offspring to carry on the possession,
right?
What would that look like?
Well, very often it's just some type of either like a black mass or some type of other satanic ritual that they actually have, because they have a variety of different ones that they do. Sometimes it just involves satanic ritual abuse of their own child. They'll abuse the child sexually or some other fashion. So you'll see that they'll do specific things to rituals that are somewhat designed for it. But it's usually some type of black mass or satanic ritual abuse that occurs.
Did you say black mask?
Black mass.
Black mass.
Yeah.
Black mass. And so, if it's sexual in nature or something horrific like that, I would imagine that creates a hatred between the father and the son, or the father and the daughter.
Yes, it does, Junior. Yeah.
And so, how would that get carried on? Do they teach them later in life, this is what you have to do to your kids? How does it get paid forward?
Oh yeah, they do. Just as you would teach your kids about Christ and give them catechesis about this is how you're, this is what we believe about Christ, this is how you behave. They do the same thing, except in relationship to their occult practices and Satan. So they do the same thing.
Why would that person want to carry it forward, though?
Because of the fact that usually during that process, they'll teach them rituals which empower them in relationship to other people or other things, especially with the boys, not so much with the girls. Very often what will happen is that they'll teach the boys how to engage in satanic ritual abuse, which is sexual in nature, and the boys physically enjoy it. And so they'll have that motivation. So there can be natural motivations. Two, once the possession occurs, the demons will drive the person to want to know more about it.
Hey, look,
TikTok
an ad.
has over 50 preset safety.
Oh, I don't want to listen to any more music. We already had a close call tonight. No, thank you. I am
You
good.
don't like ads?
I don't like
talking
music
about
that can
school
be
stuff.
nailed for copywriting. And those
let's
schools
just
turn your kids into idiots. Cogs in the machine, I say.
Cogs. Speaking of cogs in the machine, that was American oil.
What?
The ad.
Oh, the
It's
ad
not
was...
American oil.
Oh, yes.
Cogs in the machine.
Cogs in the machine. Well, we still need oil, so... All right.
No, we don't.
Black Mass. You know anything about those?
Black Mass.
If it's okay. It's
So,
okay if you don't.
Black Mass is a ritual celebrated by various satanic groups,
Uh-huh.
often seen as a sacrilegious parody of the traditional Catholic Mass.
Okay, so they're making fun of the Catholic Mass then. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask.
Everything demons do is making fun of anything to do with Jesus.
Okay, well, I think we have chased the generational curse thing as far as we can, and it's...
We're chasing.
Yeah, so do you have any final thoughts on the subject before I move on to exorcisms?
Now let's move on to exorcism.
All right, we are moving on to exorcisms, unless somebody in the chat has a question or something we can look up or something like that. All right.
A chat question?
Yeah, a chat question. So, all right, inside an exorcism. I think we're going to have a Shawn Ryan ad here. Oh, we're back. Okay, here we go.
What happens? What's the process like? What goes on inside the room when an exorcism's happening?
Depending on what the stage of the case is. So if we were just starting out, that's one thing. But if you're talking about just your average, where we already know the person's possessed, the demon's manifested in the past, basically what will happen is it's a very structured approach. So in many cases, if the person who's possessed can tolerate it, we'll actually offer Mass so that the person can receive Holy Communion, which then weakens the demons significantly during the session. So then we'll say Mass. We also encourage the person beforehand to have gone to confession before they get to the session. So then at the session we'll say Mass, and when the session begins, there's a series of prayers that we actually start before we start the formal ritual. And basically, the reason those are done is to provide everybody protection that's in the room, and it's also done to make sure that we clamp down on the demon from doing things that are just distractions or bad behavior. Because usually by the time you get a month or two in, you kind of know what their patterns are going to be and what they're likely to do. And this is also to keep people physically protected so the demons don't do anything physically to harm anybody. So we do a series of prayers, binding prayers, which bind the demon from being able to do certain things. And then we'll actually start the formal ritual. So the ritual it's a Latin ritual. It usually starts out with the Litany of the Saints. And that is also not diagnostic, because a lot of times when the demons during different phases of the possession, they'll react to different saints at different times and usually you'll start finding out why you're reacting to this saint, and it's usually because it has something to do with the demon's particular sin, or the saint is going to be instrumental in interceding for this person that's possessed, etc., or the saint actually might be the nemesis of the particular demon that you're actually dealing with.
See, I gotta be honest. When I hear about all that stuff about the saints and stuff, I kind of feel like that's pageantry on the part of the demon.
Yeah.
I've never really thought that was actually affecting them.
Yeah, I always thought of it more as they're being trained how to take on more of Catholics and whatnot. So the person that's being set free will be okay for a little while, and then the Bible talks about the demon leaves, so the person gets cleaned up, and then the demon goes and gets stronger demons and comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person has to either they get cursed or overwhelmed or something, and it's worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or they stay in the church and stay believing in Jesus, and they're fine. But
well, yeah, I just never understood. It's like, why do you need to be appealing to all the saints and stuff, and why are they reacting to that? Like, it just seems like it's kind of like a way for them to avoid getting cast out,
Yeah.
Because if you read the Bible, that seems to be the main thing that they're scared of. Is like, being cast out of somebody and sent back to hell or sent back to wonder or whatever. They ask to be thrown into the pigs, and so that ain't much to go on, but you would figure, given that is like the little bit of information we have on them, you would think that the main thing that they would be interested in would be trying to avoid getting cast out for whatever reason. So it seems like, oh, you've got my pet sin, oh, you clever exorcist, you. I kind of feel like that would be a ruse.
Yeah.
That's just me, though, unless you have some information or a perspective I ain't aware of.
No, there's all sorts of different people all over the internet that so, just depending on how much faith you have.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you're going to move the mountains. Jesus himself said that you will cast out demons in my name.
Yeah.
So,
I certainly think exorcisms are possible. I'm just a little dubious about the saints being coordinated or correlated with particular sins or the opposite of a particular sin or something like that. I'm a little dubious about that. I don't know if I buy that, Trevor.
Well, yeah, it's a whole realm in itself. Like some people will go as far as there are people that record like all of these different kinds of demons. Like you got the what's the realm of the water? What's that called?
The realm of the water? I don't know.
There's a whole demon faction that comes from just water.
Is that something tied to that Ars Goetia or whatever?
Well, the Ars Goetia.
That thing was silly, in my opinion. We got a good laugh at Amon Hillman because of it, but it's just kind of silly to me. It was just kind of some quirky lore.
Some people, it's their whole lives.
Their whole lives?
This is what they do.
They study the Ars Goetia?
No, they study all the different demonic lore and.
But how would you know? They lie. That's like their whole shtick.
Yeah, and what's his name? Dang it! Let's see. That's why I like Whenever I want to talk about somebody, I can't think of their name.
Well, that's all right. You think about it for a minute. We'll go back and see what this Mr. Chad Ripperger has to say. We'll keep listening to him for a minute.
So, for example, Saint Joan of Arc is the nemesis of Satan under the aspect of treason through ambition, and so which was in a case where that was what was the reason for the possession case is that we'd actually come to knowledge about certain things going on in the world and in the church about how people were advancing themselves in political sphere and even in the church through by committing treason, and the ambition part was because they wanted positions of power and things of that sort. And the reason Joan of Arc was the nemesis in that particular case was because of the fact that she had been put to death by a bishop who was committing treason because he was siding with the English when he was French so that he would get a bigger diocese. And so he was committing treason through ambition. And so she became the nemesis of Satan, who was driving that whole process. She became the nemesis of Satan under that particular aspect. So it's diagnostic, so you can actually find out. And
I'm sorry, I have to ask, how does he know that? Like, how could you possibly know that?
It's part of his training.
Well, how did who train him figure that out? Or whoever trained him? Like, I want to know how they actually come to these conclusions. Like, that seems like a mighty specific and big claim. It's like Joan Arc became a patron saint to fight certain kinds of demons. I'm like, well, okay, maybe, but I need a little more than just an assertion. Yeah. Like, how do you know that?
Bob Larson was the one I was trying to...
Okay, Bob Larson. Yeah, you talked about Bob Larson quite a bit.
Yeah, and people like Bob Larson, he's been doing exorcisms for 50 years.
Uh-huh.
And people come to him and they feel demonic entities in their home or around them, and he'll do a whole, okay, is this person mentally ill? And have them do, like, he works with doctors and stuff, and he's very well educated, and he makes sure that they are mentally cognitive enough to do an exorcism with them. And his way of doing it is he figures out the name of the demon, and usually they'll tell him, and it's just, he doesn't do it exactly like the Catholics, but it's pretty close.
Gotcha.
But he only uses, the Bible, and he's got his own little crucifix, and then the name of Jesus. And it's, whether he's fake or real, it's totally up to you. But it's just, he's not the only one. There's many different ones. There's let's see, the guy named Daniel. Apostle Daniel Adams from the Supernatural. He's got a channel called That Supernatural Talk, and that's their channel. And he does a lot with the Marine Kingdom. That's the Water Kingdom, the Marine Kingdom.
Yeah, I just have a really hard time swallowing that there's a demonic realm called the Marine Kingdom. Yeah. I just got to be honest. I'm like, that just seems...
There's a whole...
Who's been there? How would you know?
There's a whole kingdom that these water evil spirits come from.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
They oppress people, and there's just all sorts of different ones. And they're recorded. These people spend their whole lives in these ministries. Fighting the demonic.
Yeah. Beans2 Kalix says... Calix says, right. So I'm assuming he's asking the same thing I'm asking here about how do they know this stuff. Because the only way that I could think that they would be able to tell is if they're listening to these goobers while the exorcism is taking place. But that's the whole thing. They lie. Like, I've told you the story where, like, The one time I ever actually like heard something audible from one of them. You know, and what did it say? It said, "So young, so old, happy birthday, boy." Now, what did that mean? Nothing. It meant nothing. It was gibberish. These things lie. That's what they do.
Their whole thing, they run on distractions.
Yeah, so I mean, this isn't like a freaking Lord of the Rings fantasy here. It's not like I have a very hard time believing there's a freaking water kingdom that the demons are devoted to. Like, it just seems like the only creatures that would be in a position to tell you that would be the demons, and they're going to lie to you to start with. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just skeptical of that. I need more information, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Or you got a rebuttal?
I don't know how to rebuttal. That's my problem.
Oh, you could go, Gary, you're a fool. You're a big, dumb, goofy goo. You're wrong about all of it.
Fool.
Okay, well, then you could say I'm a super genius. I'm superb. I'm bordering on enlightened. Or I'm just full of it.
All you need is the blood of Jesus and say, in Jesus' name, get out.
Yeah, there you go.
And that works.
Because it ain't you doing it. It ain't you doing it. So, all right.
And that may be the problem with all these guys.
I kind of think that's it, dude, honestly.
But they have millions of followers who believe that they're right.
Because it's pagan. It's cult. It's ritual.
It's part of this world. It's all distraction.
Well, it's about giving humanity control. It's about making us feel like we're in control. You know, that whole side of the veil, we don't understand it. We don't understand any of it. God didn't tell us about that stuff for good reason. You know? I mean, we went through our stuff, but about the only thing it taught us is that, or at least the only thing it ever taught me was that I'm not as smart as I think I am. There's a whole quadrant of reality that I don't know anything about, and I probably will never know anything about until the day I die. But people like to make up rules. They like to sit there and go, okay, if I say this so many times, and if I hop on one head, and if I crush a wafer here and sprinkle water there, then it has no choice but to follow my whim and follow my orders or whatever. And it's like, look, all you can really do at the end of the day is, you know, plead the blood of Christ and say Christ's name and in Jesus' name be gone. Because in the end, Christ is going to be the one who determines whether it leaves or not. You have nothing to do with it. Like, this is an entire realm you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately. I mean, I'm sure a water realm full of a demonic hierarchy makes for a great book. You know, it makes for really good content. You know, that's why you have such rules for content. But as far as reality goes, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Christ who does all the work, and you're like dependent on Him. And that's my opinion. I'm willing to hear other people out if they've got, you know, another point of view. But from my perspective, I'm like, the only thing that stuff ever taught me is how little I know. That's just me.
That's kind of what I've been learning.
Yeah.
I can listen to all these different guys, and they got great stories, and they seem like they know what they're talking about, and they're doing God's work and everything, and they all know their Bible very well, and it's just like, well, do I believe them or not?
Just take it with a grain of salt. Like, you know, but you have to ask questions, you know what I mean? Like, you don't just sit there and go, this person's crazy, I'm not going to believe them, period. You have to go, okay, how would they, even if that were true, how could they have possibly learned it? Yeah. And when you ask questions in that way, it becomes really, really obvious, like where the lies are. Because the truth is, there's only one way that they could know, as if they were talking to the demons, which the Bible's very clear you shouldn't be doing. Why?
Where does it
Because they're
say
full
that?
of crap. Well, like in Leviticus, you're not supposed to talk to them. You're not supposed to interact with them. You're not supposed to cross over into that world. You know, as far as the testing the spirits scripture in John goes, like that's talking about like the spirit of the gospel. Specifically, John is referring to Gnosticism, which is a heresy. That's a whole other. It's not actually talking about, you know, demons and that kind of thing, but they're not going to tell you the truth, you know. So there's really no point in any case. So it's just not good to interact with them. But that's my opinion. And now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is no direct place. I feel like there is. I feel like in Leviticus it gives a whole protocol what you should and shouldn't do. But, you know, maybe I'm incorrect. You can double check it for me if you like. Yeah. Beans to Calix says, yeah, I just had this conversation earlier about people strawmanning the Bible using Bukowski when it sounds like they haven't read the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people really do like to straw man. It's a pretty easy way to make your case when you're fighting a shadow. So, I mean, I can Google that really quick if you would like. I could see if there's actually a direct verse that says don't talk to them, if you would like me to.
Or I could look it up while you play the video.
Yeah, how about we do that? How about you look it up and see if I'm wrong? We can double check it while this is playing.
And you afflict the demons by that process too, just for them to hear the names of people who are faithful afflicts them. Then you actually go, it kind of alternates between what we call deprecatory and imprecatory prayers. So you say a prayer asking Christ for specific things, and then you go into imprecatory prayers, which is a commanding of the demons. And then that's where the bulk of the ritual is done, where you're commanding the demons to consider specific things. Because the way the demons are weakened is they hear everything you say. Because I mentioned, their knowledge, they got this infused knowledge in the beginning. But all the particular things that happen as they occur is infused in the demon's intellect as it happens. And so as you're saying these things, he sees it in his intellect. And so what happens is in that process, you're basically forcing him to consider truths which are painful to his will, because they only have intellect and will. And so it causes pain in their will, and over the course of time, their will, just like ours, when we become fatigued, it gets to the point where it can't sustain the pain anymore, and then it gives in. And so you keep forcing him to consider certain truths and do certain things. So we're also, the prayer of the church is being applied to him to try and cast him out. We're commanding him to leave, because the demons know the authority structure perfectly. And so they know when the priest has received the faculties from the bishop that he has the authority to command him to leave. And so this is, we even saw this with Christ. So Christ said, he said, by my name you'll cast out demons. What he did not say is, by my name you'll cast out all demons. And how do we know that? Because he also says later to the apostles, these types of demons can only be cast out by prayer and fasting. Okay, you still use Christ's name, but there's other things. Well, the authority of the church, so when Christ said to the apostles, all authority has been given to me, go.
I have a comment on that one.
All right.
But this kind never comes out except by prayer and fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that taken out of, most other Bibles besides the King James?
Because there are the Alexandrian texts and the Byzantine texts, and everything from the Revised Standard Edition on is using the Alexandrian texts and the methodology of Westcott and Hort. Specifically, they're leaning the most on the Sinaiticus and the Vaticanus. And we've talked about this before. Those are they're very, very suspicious manuscripts, let's say. Incredibly suspicious. I have a book on that, actually. I'm going to recommend it if you want to know more about that here in just a second. But that's why. They take that stuff out based on the Alexandrian text instead of going with the Byzantine text or adopting a majority text methodology. Which is why I say, I'm not a King James onlyist. But pretty much anything after Westcott and Hort, so that'd be the late 1800s, the Geneva Bible would be fine. Like the Gutenberg Bible would be fine. There are other Bibles that I would consider fine, but after Tischendorf and all these different guys entered the scene, in my opinion, they really screwed translation up. And they started taking large chunks of text out, and it's it looks like the Sinaiticus. Is that the Sinaiticus and the Vaticanus? The Sinaiticus might be a facsimile of like an ancient Bible. Like it's a mess. It's a whole mess. Let me actually pull a book really quick to show people that I would recommend on it. So hang on.
Yeah, because I've actually had people ask me this stuff, and it's like I don't actually know why.
Yeah.
They would take small verses out like that.
Yeah, give me just a sec. I'll show you.
But yeah, there's lots of stuff about deliverance from demons, like James.
That was
4:7.
loud and awkward. Hang on.
I
Okay,
missed it.
this is the book I would recommend. All right, so let's see. Neither oldest nor best. It is by David H. Sorensen. You're not going to find this on Amazon. It's only on like his website. They try to bury this, and I think there is a they, because all like modern biblical scholarship is based on Westcott and Hort, and it's terrible.
Oh, wow.
So
That's probably why a lot of people say that it contradicts itself.
Yeah, I think some of that is from people, monkeying around with it. But, I mean, it's a whole thing, Trevor. Like, it's awful. I think I showed this to Cody a couple weeks back, but just to kind of give an idea of the little changes that they make, there's a scripture whenever it's the Last Supper, and Christ is talking about people needing to pick up swords at a certain point in time. And one of the disciples says, well, we have 2 swords here. And then Christ goes, it is enough, which kind of rounds out that conversation he was having with them. Well, in the NIV, they shift it ever so slightly to where, he gives the same statement. And then the disciples say, well, we have 2 swords here. And then they're like, Christ is like, that's enough, with an exclamation point, as if to make it sound like he's rebuking them for saying they have swords. And they don't actually have swords. Or, like, he's not actually rebuking them. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he's not actually rebuking them. He's saying it's fine. Like, having 2 swords is fine. But they make it sound different by adding, like, a little exclamation point and changing the wording slightly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they try to make Jesus sound like a pacifist, which he's not. So they do little stuff like that. Another great example is with the adultery verse. If you look at a woman with lust, we've always heard it with lust. Well, in the King James, it's to lust. If you look at a woman to lust upon her, then you've committed adultery in your heart. Now, why is that to and with important? Because to implies intent. If you say with, it sounds like it's almost impulsive, like you're being held accountable for your errant thoughts. But to means you are looking at that person with the intention of lusting. So there's a distinction in the meaning just by changing that one little word.
Wow.
And they do stuff like that throughout all the Bible. And then they turn around and go, oh, well, there's no serious differences. Well, they're lying. Because anybody who's written a book knows that a comma can make a pretty big stinking difference.
Right.
You should read the book Eats, Shoots, and Leaves, to just demonstrate it's a great example, but it's like the panda, it's a story of a panda. Basically the panda picks up a gun, eats, shoots, and leaves. Well, if you place depending on where the commas go, in one sentence, he's literally shooting somebody, eating, and leaving. And then in the next sentence, depending on where the comma goes, he's literally eating, shoots, as in eating, leaves, and then he leaves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like just depending, a comma can change the entire meaning of a sentence. And they do that stuff, and I would argue they do that stuff strategically in some of these later translations. And it's not based on anything except their opinion. And that's why I don't trust them. Again, I don't think there's something supernaturally special about the King James per se, But anything that's been influenced by Westcott and Hort's methodology, I would reject out of hand. So I'm nerding out. I know, probably ranting too much on that, but it's a pet peeve of mine. So
Yeah, because it's a distraction for people that just don't know.
yeah, but it's all meant to create impressions. Like, you're supposed to picture Christ as like this meek, passive person who never wanted any violence. And yeah, there's times where he didn't, but he also talks about coming back with the sword. And the Christ in Revelations is very different than the suffering servant we see in the gospel. So,
yeah, and
you know,
and he did flip tables. So
yeah, that is true. So, a little bit of a diatribe off the Exorcist stuff here, but you know, it's a pet peeve of mine. I have yet to do a video on it, but it's on the bucket list. So, anyway, we'll give this guy another minute, then we need to wrap it up for the evening.
right.
Go therefore and baptize all nations. He deputized the apostles and gave them an authority which then is passed on to us as exorcists when we're doing that. That's how the fathers talk about this lineage of authority being passed. That authority, then the demons know that you have that authority. And if you first start out, doing a diagnostic and you're praying over somebody, if the demon manifests, he might take your beating for a little while, but then at a certain point he's just going to say, "Where's your authority?" This is one of the reasons why Protestants have a certain degree of efficacy by using Christ's name, because it has a force of its own. And they might even do prayer and fasting and that type of thing. But there are certain kinds of possession or certain levels of possession where they end up on our doorstep because they can't seem to get them liberated. And so that's when, once a priest has jurisdiction, then the demons, well, they don't ask where your authority is because they already know where it's from, because it's been infused in their knowledge that the bishop told you that you could do this. So you do a series of prayers which causes them pain because they have to think about those particular things, and it's against their will, contrary to their will. So what's happening is the pain in their will is starting to build. That's the whole goal, is to get it to build to where they finally give you what you need to know in order to get them out. So you go between that and then praying and asking Christ for certain things and back into that. Once the ritual's done, if you know what the particular weaknesses are of the demon, then what you'll do is you'll switch to a set of prayers or make him pray. That's one of the things I'll do, is I'll force the demon, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say, for example, one particular case, you're going to say the litany of the precious blood. And so he was forced to talk about the litany of the precious blood as a series of invocations to Christ through his precious blood about specific things like burning furnace of charity and things of that sort. So we forced him to say those particular prayers, or we'll force them to praise like Our Lady or something like that. And them having to do that, it causes them their pain to increase. And then once they get to a certain level of pain, then they're likely to give you the information. Once the session...
What information?
So the church tells you that there's essentially 5 things that you want to know. You need to know how many possessors there are, because you need to make sure that when the person's liberated, they're fully cleaned out.
So there might be multiple demons.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
What's the most you've seen?
Well, I said this one had Legion, and I believe it was Legion. But outside that context, the one that I've seen the most is 27.
27 demons in one human?
Yeah. And it was a pretty sad case. This guy was a hurting unit, man, from all that. So most of them, it's somewhere between 1 to 8, maybe, are the most that you tend to see as a general rule. I actually did see a case where I did one case where I got rid of one demon of fear. The woman went out and did something really stupid, and then when she came back, it was literally like scripture: 1 leaves and 7 come back, and that was literally, she had 7. So, so the number of possessors, the names. Because once you know the name, there's 2 aspects to the name. One, it gives you an identity. So, for example, when I had Loki in a case, once the demon revealed what his name was, then I was able to actually go and research historically Loki as a Norse god. Because it says right in Scripture, all the gods of Gentiles are demons. And so you can actually just go and look at the worship that they used to give to Loki in the past, and to the Norse god of Loki, and what you'll find out in there is almost a complete description of his personality. He's a god of mischief, And so he was just such a handle to get a hold of. But once you know the name, then you can do some research, or you can ask other exorcists, have you seen this guy, etc. The second thing is the name gives you a power over them. Now, demons will either reveal their name right off the bat if it's not going to help, if it's not going to be mean that much, or they'll hold out and hold out and hold out as long as they possibly can, because once you know their name, then it gives you a certain power over them. We actually experience this as human beings. So if I call your name, hey, Shawn, if you're standing over there and I say, hey, Shawn, right? When it goes into your faculties and you hear it, it draws your attention. Well, it's the same thing with them. When you're using their name, it draws their attention and they can't get their mind off of the thing that you're telling them to do. And so it gives you a power actually over them. So the names, how they got in, because a lot of times how they got in is how they're going to get out. Plus, times how they got in is very often, like if it's because they were wounded very badly, like a woman was raped or something of that sort, then you have maybe some psychological issues that have to be addressed first before she's going to get liberated. And then the time and date of departure when you're leaving. I don't ask that too often because they usually lie. Now, only about 10% of the time do they actually tell the truth, but they usually lie. They'll say, oh, I'm leaving tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and goes and they don't leave. And the reason they're doing that is they're trying to discourage the person who's possessed. And then the last piece of information is, what is it going to take to get you out? And usually it's something very simple. So in the last case that the woman was liberated that I was working with, it took us a long time to get out this piece of information. She had to go to a specific altar in a particular church, and I had to say a specific prayer over her, and she would leave, and he would leave. We did it. Boom, he was out. But it took us a long time to get him to that point. That piece of information is what they're going to hold out. And there's 6 stages of liberation. Stage 6 is liberation. Stage 5, that last piece of information is going to come out in stage 5.
Wow.
But there's nothing about any of that in Scripture. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I found among all different kind of deliverance and exorcist ministers, and they all seem to agree that as long as you can figure out the demon's name, that's when you can have power over them to cast them out.
And that could be. Christ asked for their names, so I think it's fair to make that assumption. But all that other stuff, the whys and the explanations he was given, I'm like, I experience, I guess, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like we'd have any other anchor for that.
They gotta do. Well, it's just that how the learned customs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
How they do things.
Traditions
passed down through thousands of years doing it.
Well, if we ever come across an exorcist or meet one, be happy to talk to them. Be interested to see how they reach these conclusions and compare notes, as it were. But Beans to Calyx gave us an eye emoji. It's the last message of the night, I believe. I'm not sure what got his attention, but some pretty crazy stuff at any rate. So, Mr. Trevor, do you got any final thoughts?
No. Just if you ever have problems with this stuff, in Jesus' name, get out. And speak that with authority. That usually helps.
Well, it ain't on you. It ain't on you. It's on Christ.
Yeah.
And so
something that helps me is I'll sing "Jesus Loves Me."
Oh, Beans to Calyx says it was the 27 demons. LOL. Yeah, that's a lot. So that's a bad day. That's a bad day.
Most people get scared if they get oppressed by one. I couldn't imagine 27.
Yeah, I don't know what that looks like. That's pretty crazy. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna call it a night tonight. Beans to Calyx, thank you so much. We appreciate you sticking with us, especially after all that craziness where the stream almost got shut down. So we appreciate you hanging on there. That was kind of dodgy. Thank you for the 200 subscribers. We're
Yes,
pretty
thank you.
thrilled about that. I'm just going to keep plugging along. And, yeah. He says, well, good hanging out again. Always enjoy it, man. Always enjoy it. So, all right. Well, everybody, that's all we got for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Let me do a shameless plug one more time. Buy my book, Temple of Maggie Stone, or The Familiar. I'm poor. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And we will see you next time.